everybody. Welcome back to the Greatest Mixtape Podcast. I'm Eric.
And I'm Mac. And we find ourselves now right in the middle of NFL playoff season.
Yeah.
Heading into the big game, the Super Bowl, which got us thinking about halftime shows, Super Bowl halftime shows, and some of our favorites.
There's been some amazing performances over the years, and there's been some that maybe weren't so great. We're going to focus on the ones that were great. We actually we picked 5 that we're going to discuss in just a few minutes. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about what the NFL was doing for halftime shows before they realized what a gem they had in their hands. I mean, this is 15 minutes of television time that has become almost as big as the game itself, but it wasn't always such a cool thing.
Right. Before the halftime show became this super iconic moment that everybody looks forward to, the NFL made some interesting choices as far as
there's
their
some
halftime
weird shit
shows
going on back in the day.
I mean, let's go back to 1970.
Okay.
The Super Bowl halftime show. That's Super Bowl, what, 3 or 4?
Something like that.
Carol Channing.
That's hands down the weirdest one ever, right? I mean, Carol Channing? What?
I would love just to see a bunch of like NFL executives sitting around a table in the old days. Like they all got suits on. They're all smoking, just chain smoking. And what do you think, boys? What should we do? I got it.
Let's get that broad, Carol Channing.
Nothing says ratings like Carol Channing.
That is ridiculous.
I mean, let's be realistic. I mean, Carol Channing probably had more talent than the two of us put together.
I mean, this is true. Yes, nothing against her as a performer.
Odd.
It's so bizarre.
Odd choice for a Super Bowl.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess in the NFL's defense, they hadn't figured that out yet. They literally had 15 minutes. They're like, what are we going to do?
Who's hot right now?
Carol Channing. Apparently she was. 1970. She was the Taylor Swift of 1970. Carol Channing.
I think I've heard someone say that before. It's very accurate.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's fast forward, say, I don't know, 22 years. And they still hadn't quite figured it out yet, I don't think. Because in 1992, the theme was Winter
Magic.
A salute to the winter season and the Winter Olympics featuring Gloria Estefan, Brian Boitano, and Dorothy Hamill.
I mean, if that trio doesn't equal ratings, then I don't know what does.
And it's funny, like going back and looking at every Super Bowl halftime show, right? Gloria Estefan has been in like 4 or 5.
Yeah, she actually has. She's shown up a lot.
Between her and the Miami Sound Machine, like she's got to hold the record for the most halftime shows. Okay, 1997, the Blues Brothers Bash with Dan Aykroyd, John Goodman, and James.
Yes,
interesting. Like John Goodman has done a Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah, that's bizarre. That's bizarre.
The 90s were just
they were
1999. The celebration of soul, salsa, and swing featuring Stevie Wonder,
our girl,
right? Gloria Estefan, and Big Bad Voodoo Daddy.
Yeah, because the kids were all into Big Bad Voodoo Daddy at the time.
I mean, swing was hot,
15
for like
minutes.
Yeah. I mean, but hey, good for them. I mean,
oh my God.
For a band that had, a pretty short run, in the limelight. And they get to do Super Bowl.
I mean, that is pretty cool. They're no Carol Channing, but
no.
But they had their moment in the sun for sure.
Now this one just gets me. It's the year.
I knew you were going to pick this one. This is my favorite too.
This is such a wild lineup. A tapestry of nations. So first off, right when you hear the theme, you're like, oh boy, a tapestry.
A tapestry of nations. A show that came out of a think tank of like old white guys. And they're going to do a show about a tapestry of nations.
So the lineup, Phil Collins, right? Who everybody loves.
Absolutely.
Christina Aguilera.
One of my personal favorites.
Enrique Iglesias and Tony Braxton.
All right.
Now, all 4 phenomenal performers together. I just don't know the whole tapestry. I think the word is just irritating me.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Tapestry is annoying. And also, while they have different ethnic backgrounds, 3 of the 4 are from the United States. Am I wrong? So it's really a tapestry of the U.S. and England. Not a very broad brush there, guys.
Well, nation.
It is. I mean, so technically, yes, they are linguistically correct. But
that's a good call.
I expected a longer list if it's a tapestry. That's not a very big tapestry. That's like 2 pieces of fabric sewn together.
Yeah, it's just 2 pieces of yarn. That's all. That's it.
Tied a string in a knot. It's a tapestry.
And let's not forget, Eric, 2004.
Yeah.
Janet, Miss Jackson, if you're nasty, with Kid Rock, P. Diddy, Nelly, and of course, the man who Who did it?
The man who
Justin
did it.
Timberlake.
He orchestrated the whole thing. He was the guy. Yep. Janet did not see that coming. You know what's so funny about that, though? I mean, I'm not even going to go for the low-hanging fruit and make, like, boob jokes, but the fact that that's all anybody remembers, because until we started talking about this as a topic, I didn't even remember that Kid Rock, Nelly, and P. Diddy were part of that performance. Right. It was just Janet and Justin. That's all anybody remembers. I'm like, Kid Rock was there? Yeah. What? No clue. Had no idea.
And do you remember what a big deal that was when it happened? Like the uproar, like it was the worst thing anybody had ever done.
Yeah. And what's amazing is 20 short years later, that's nothing. We had that WAP song all over the radio.
Right.
I mean, the song alone, the video is 1,000 times more provocative and shows a whole lot more skin than those like 30 frames that you saw of Janet Jackson's breast.
Yeah.
I mean, and the world went bananas.
Holy shit. The response was immediate. And it was just, everybody was so up in arms about it.
Yeah.
I remember watching it live, like it happened, and I was sitting there like, did I just see that?
Was that?
I remember I was like in a different room of the house. I remember like yelling downstairs to my wife, did you just see it?
Was that what I think it was? Yeah. So, but needless to say, the Super Bowl has had some ups, some downs, more downs than ups, in the past. But they've gotten it right more than a couple times, and that's really what we're here to talk about today. Not the ridiculous choices that were made over the years, but when they got it right, they got it right. And we picked at least 5 times they got it right, and the performers were top notch and worth watching. There's been times where I was like, is this thing over yet? And these 5 that we're going to talk about, I could have watched a full concert. I mean, they were that good.
Because sometimes going in, this is, I'm just not excited about this. I don't care about the artist.
Right.
But then sometimes they just get it right. And then not just the right choice, but just the artist just going out there and realizing how big the stage is and how many people are watching and just putting on a performance for the ages.
And truly stepping up to the occasion and just killing it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're not going to pick on Carol.
No, we love you, Carol.
So unlike other episodes, we did not each pick 5. We actually collaborated on this list for a change, and we are going to focus on 5. And what was great too is that we had a meeting and we each had picked our own 5. And I think at least 3 or 4, we had picked the same ones anyway. So it was kind of easy.
Yeah. To get to agreement on the 5th one, we had just a bare knuckle street brawl.
Yeah.
We were both very passionate about Super Bowl halftime.
Yeah, my lip is still healing. You caught me pretty good with that left.
Yeah, I'm going to have this shiner for a couple of weeks probably, but whatever. All right, so let's jump into our top 5.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Coming in at number 5, we're going back to 2009. Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. Super Bowl 43, Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. And as far as the game, if you remember the game, that was the Steelers beating the Cardinals. But that halftime show, and Eric and I, we've said this before, I believe that, we're not like diehard Springsteen fans. We absolutely have all kinds of respect for him and the E Street Band for songwriting, longevity, and just, everything that they bring. But this performance, and I mentioned this to Eric a while ago, this performance, as I was watching it, I was like, I get it now. I get Springsteen. I understand why people go see him 20, 30 times, or they follow him around the country. Like, I get it now.
Yeah, he's got a pretty rabid fan base. We had mentioned this in the last episode, how, certain bands have these, diehard fans, and Springsteen is one of those artists that his fans they've been loyal for decades. They'll be loyal forever, and just, they just love him. He is, rock royalty.
Absolutely. And I mean, and one of the things we talked about, a performance, and not just, the songs and everything, but the visual aspect of the halftime show.
Yeah.
So with Springsteen, like right away at the performance, he's grabbing onto the camera. He's talking to you at home. Put down those chicken fingers.
Yeah.
And you feel it right from the jump. You feel part of the show.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. I had put that in my notes as well, how, and I can't say with 100% certainty he was the first person to really make an obvious attempt to connect with the people at home. I don't know if he's the first, but he's certainly the first that I remember. And I actually was like, holy cow, like, so many performers come out, not just at the Super Bowl, but anytime they're on live TV or in front of a huge audience, they are playing to the people in front of them and they're pandering to them. And the cameras are just sort of secondary. They're just there. And Springsteen immediately, when he came out on stage, was making a connection with that camera and making a connection with the viewers at home, even maybe more so than the people in the crowd. It wasn't like he was ignoring the crowd, but he really made an effort to connect with the millions of people watching at home. And I just thought that was super, super cool, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's got that little like walkout section of the stage
little
where
ramp,
he's playing out.
Runway.
He's out there. Yeah. In front, in the crowd, he's high-fiving the fans. At one point he runs across the stage, slides on his knees, and actually runs into the cameraman.
In my house, we call it the dick slide. He did the dick slide.
Yeah, that cameraman.
Yeah,
he got
sure
a face
did. Yep.
But speaking of cameras, though, all kinds of low-angle camera shots.
Yeah.
Right. Making you feel at home, like you're actually in the crowd, because the cameramen, they're set up with the fans looking up at Bruce on stage. And then we get to the set list. Let's talk about the songs. So he starts with 10th Avenue Freeze Out, which again, not being a huge Springsteen fan, but that's my favorite Springsteen
it's a good
song. I love that song. The horns, the big man on sax. I love it. Born to Run, Working on a Dream, which was a new song at the time for him. With a choir on stage, and then he finishes with Glory Days.
Yeah. And rewrites the lyrics to pertain to football instead of baseball in that one verse, which I thought was cool. Shows he cares. He took the time to do that and make it relevant to the performance he was giving. So, and also too, man, you mentioned him briefly, but Clarence Clemons, man, big ups to the big man. God, he was awesome. Such a cool guy. I had the good fortune of actually meeting him a couple times. One of the clubs I used to DJ at many, many, many years ago. He, whenever they were in town, he actually popped in a few times. He might have known a couple of the girls who worked there, but really, really super, super cool guy. And just a giant dude. Oh my God. They call him the big man for an obvious reason. That's why I like the saxophones when you watch him play, they look so tiny in his hands. He was such a big guy. But super sweetheart, really, really nice guy. And just a joy to watch on stage as well. I mean, he was a great performer.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, that 10th Avenue Freeze Out, the sax in that song, he
kills it.
That's just a great song, But then, of course, Glory Days, like you said, they finish with Glory Days, and they do the thing with Bruce and Little Steven singing together into the mic at the same time. The whole thing. Gotta love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so that was number 5. Eric, where are we going to go for number 4?
So number 4, we're going with Rihanna. Riri killed it. And yes, I call her Riri.
100%.
It's still fresh on a lot of people's brains. It was just last year. It was Super Bowl 57, Glendale, Arizona. Chiefs beat the Eagles. So for you Kansas City fans out there, congratulations on that one. But yeah, Rihanna comes out and right out of the gate, dude, was just, you were like, wow. Never had seen a Super Bowl halftime show with that much production for a 15-minute performance. Oh my God. And if anybody listening did not watch the halftime show last year, go watch that performance. It was amazing. I mean, how many dancers did she have out there? Like 200 or so? I don't know.
The choreography was just on
so
point,
good.
Right? And they're all on those platforms just kind of levitating, up high. And before it even starts, she gets up there and she looks and she rubs her belly. She's pregnant. And she's, that's like, you goddamn right I'm pregnant. I'm going to blow your fucking
mind. And that was her big reveal to the world, I'm sure some people knew, but I mean, I guess it was kind of a secret. And she came out, opened up the jacket, the belly's there. She's like, whatever, man. Yep. That was cool. Yep.
But just the visual aspect of it, the production. Again, like you said, sure, maybe we're not huge Rihanna fans, but who gives a shit, man? You don't need to be to appreciate that level of attention to detail and artistry and the visualization of everything. It was just incredible.
Well, and I think that's what's so great about live performances too, is that you see a performance like that or Springsteen. I mean, I'm definitely a bigger fan of both of them now than I was before. And again, not that I didn't like them, but I appreciate them on a even, a bigger level now after seeing the performance. I mean, it looked like I keep going back to like a video game, like those levitating platforms that the people were dancing on. It looked like an old like Donkey Kong video or something. It was like, what is going on in this thing? I was waiting for like Mario to run across or something. But it was a super, super cool production. And the performance was great. Like you said, the choreography was on point. And to have that many people running around dancing in unison. And I watched it a second time because of the choreography. I really wanted, because the first time I watched it, I was focused on her and her performance and her vocal delivery. And then I was like, there's so much going on. Let me watch this again. And so the second time I was strictly watching the dancers. And one of the things I took away from it was that every single one of those dancers, whether they were right next to her or in front of her or 63 people to the left that was barely on camera, every single one of them was killing it and giving it 110%. Nobody was phoning that in. Every time they would like slam their foot or swing their arm or just do some move, every move was completely just, again, 110%. And it looked so cool. You know, it wasn't, a lot of times you see a group that large performing and, you know, the few that are, you know, focused around the performer are really, really good. And then other people are just kind of there doing the moves. But I mean, like I said, the person 50 people from the left was dancing just as hard as the people standing, you know, right next to Rihanna. So the performance was just so good. So good. And the music selection was killer too.
Well, and they're doing all this while fucking levitating in the air.
Yes.
I mean,
these moving platforms on cables, like
right. And if you watch, like go back and watch, like there's some swinging though, there's some giving though. So like they're up there doing these, and there's some movement happening there. It's not like they're on solid ground.
For sure. Which just makes it even more impressive that, I mean, I would be holding on for dear life on one of those platforms, let alone dancing. Not that I don't have a lot of moves anyway, but certainly not enough to be in a Rihanna Super Bowl performance.
No, I'd be stuck on my hands and knees, like asking someone, like,
get me off
down,
this gang down.
Where's the parachute?
I'm not enjoying this. But so yeah, the performance was great. And another thing that was cool. Now Springsteen clocked in at what? Did he do like three songs? Four. Okay. So 4 songs. And of course, not every song was in its entirety. You've got 15 minutes, but so he had 4. Rihanna had 11 songs she crammed into. Yeah, so, I mean, some of them were just, you know, a quick verse and chorus, but 11 songs. I mean, I'll just rattle them off because we could be here forever, but Bitch Better Have My Money. She opens with that, which I just think is awesome anyway. But Where Have You Been? Only Girl in the World. We Found Love, Rude Boy, Work, Wild Thoughts, Pour It Up, All of the Lights, Run This Town, Umbrella, and ends with Diamonds. It was just, I mean, nonstop, just hit after hit after hit after hit. It was great.
And of course, as just sort of casual listeners of Rihanna, again, we don't know everything about her. You're sitting there and you're hearing these 11 songs, and every one you're going, oh yeah, I know that one. Yeah, no, I know that one. Holy shit, I know all these songs.
Yeah, if you'd asked me to list a bunch of Rihanna songs, I probably would have got 3 or 4. And then to watch the performance, I was doing the exact same thing you just said. I was like, oh my God, I know this one. I know this one. I know this one too. Didn't know I was such a Rihanna fan, but I certainly am now.
All right, let's move on to number 3 in the countdown here of our favorite Super Bowl halftime shows. Number 3, we're going to go back to 2002, Super Bowl 36. U2, the performance by U2. That was the first Super Bowl post 9/11 in it was in the New Orleans Superdome. Patriots beat the Rams. That was the Patriots' first.
That's right.
Super Bowl. That run they went on for the last 100 years. But obviously, it's the first huge event in America. Post 9/11. So obviously, people are feeling a certain way, and we all remember that time, those of us that were around. So you have, first this the entrance, and you have Bono walking to the stage through the crowd, and that access, you feel like Bono is amongst you, and he's one, and then they get right into it. They get right into the set list, and there's really only 2 full songs that they play.
Yeah, one of the shortest lists, if not the shortest. Well, certainly the shortest list on our list of 5 here tonight, but not that it was a short performance, just it was a short list of songs. It was 2 songs,
right? And I remember watching it as it happened. Like no one knew what to expect, no one knew what they were going to do. But they play Beautiful Day, and then they go into an intro, the song MLK. They play a little bit of that intro right into Where the Streets Have No Name, and during that time they start they had started scrolling names of 9/11 victims behind them, going from bottom to top. And I remember as soon as the names started coming up, and you hear like that little guitar intro to "The Streets Have No Name," and just the chills, and just how emotional it was, the way they were paying tribute to the victims of 9/11.
Yeah, that was it was definitely, I mean, it was a weird time anyway for all of us, but we live in a world now where everything was like pre 9/11 and post 9/11, and this was the first Super Bowl, the first major, televised anything, after the tragedy. And talk about a tall order for any artist. U2 was huge. I mean, it's not like they got some up and coming band, this little band U2 nobody's ever heard of before. No, I mean, they were a huge band. But anybody taking this, I don't care, how long of a career you've had or how big you are, how famous you are, that had to be nerve wracking, man. I mean, you needed some veterans up there, and they I don't want to use a sports analogy, but it hit a home run with that. I mean, they really did.
Yeah. And obviously they're an Irish band, so to go with a band that, you could have just put some, an American band up there to kind of just because they're from America. But no, it was U2. They stand for a lot more than just that. So they, and they get up there and they put on this performance, and their performance itself as musicians was great.
they were fantastic.
They sounded great. Yeah, they were just great. They had that sort of circular stage with the pit in the middle, so there's fans in the center of this circle, and Bono is running around doing laps around. But then, of course, there's as the song is coming to an end, you still have the names scrolling behind the band, and Bono opens up his leather jacket to reveal the American flag on the inside. Just it's still like it still means something to me when I see it, because I remember living through that time and seeing it happen live. It's just a lasting memory. Like, it was a great musical performance, but it also meant more than that.
And like you said, watching it again all these years later, man, I still got a little choked up watching it when they did that. First the names start scrolling up, and that hits you. And then when the American flag, inside his jacket, and the reaction of the crowd and everything, it was a huge moment. And man, easy to get choked up watching something like that. And something else that it struck me as interesting too, when we were watching that, this was 22 years ago now, and the names scrolling up on this big black tarp that was hanging down behind them were actual projections. We're so spoiled now, and we're so used to everything being LED screens and everything. And at one point, I happened to catch like some letters shining on the drummer's face as they went up, and I was like, oh my God, that's actually a projection. So that was really cool, because it was huge. That tapestry or the tarp behind him was enormous, to fit all these names on, and the names weren't small either. It wasn't just like a bunch of text just scrolling up super fast. I mean, you could read every single name. And I was like, wow, that's a full on projection. So I don't know, it just kind of struck me as interesting. I'm like, wow, that was kind of pre, or LED was probably still kind of in its infancy. It was a straight up projector, man. It was cool.
And it took me back to that time a little bit, because, at that point, that's late January, early February of 2002. So you're maybe 3-4 months outside of the actual event of 9/11. And, remember how much time you spent during those days, watching cable news, and it's just, footage from the towers and, the pile, that's still smoking, it's still burning, and of course, you had your distractions throughout the football season, but this was bigger than that. It was the Super Bowl. Yeah. It was this gigantic American event that we celebrate every year, and U2 just doing an amazing job to help us and the world get through it.
And I think there were some people that, at least initially, I hope by the end of their performance, U2 won them over. But I think there were some people that were like, really, an Irish band now? Like today, with, living in the world we now live in, and you're not going to have an American band. But what people may forget, or may have forgotten, or overlooked at the time, was they've always been like into humanitarian efforts and, doing, charity concerts and charity events and hosting things, and just, I mean, that's always been their thing. So, I mean, if there is going to be a band that's, has a global presence. I mean, again, they at that time, and they're still a huge band, but I mean, at that time, they were huge. I mean, they were one of the biggest bands in the world. They've always been that kind of band. So it made sense for them to kind of be there, and they were good ambassadors for the rest of the world looking at America during the Super Bowl after, our biggest tragedy in our nation's history. So
absolutely. So Bono and the boys and you too. Thank you very much.
Yeah, amazing. That was great. All right. Well, moving on to number 2, and this was one that you and I both had at number 2 as well. Yeah, there was no debating this one. Number 2, Super Bowl 56, SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, California, 2022. The Rams beat the Bengals. Not gonna lie, the game is a blur, but the halftime show, like it was yesterday, man. God, I loved this performance so much. And of course, I'm talking about Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, Mary J. Blige, and the one and only Eminem. Oh my God. I know I'm a little biased because everything that Dre touched in his career, I've always been a fan of. I mean, he not only, NWA, when I first really started getting into rap and hip hop, NWA was a huge part of that, And then, of course, a few years later, he introduces the world to Snoop Dogg, which, as he's launching his solo career and building his, aftermath empire, he gives the world Snoop Dogg. And that alone he deserves every bit of recognition for giving the world Snoop Dogg, because Snoop's the best, man. And of course, Mary J. Blige, who is amazing, fantastic singer, great performer, and was on a lot of those, the big hits, for Dre as well.
Yeah.
And then of course, M just comes out and just the place goes bonkers. I remember watching it and thinking at the time, man, I was a little bummed because I felt like they kind of like shortchanged M. But you're going to have Eminem come out first? Come on. I mean, he had to close the show, so it made sense. But I'm just going to rattle off the songs really fast for you because, again, 11 songs included in this performance, and every one of them is just awesome. Next episode, of course, Dre and Snoop featuring a brief instrumental sample of Nothing But a G Thing. Go into California Love, and then 50 comes out. Did we even say 50 when we were doing this? We forgot to mention 50 Cent.
Forgot to.
God damn.
Yeah, forgot 50. Apologies, Curtis Jackson.
Good Lord,
man, I'm sorry. Yeah.
There's 50 hanging upside down. Starts doing In the Club. That was insane.
Yep.
Then it's Mary's turn with Family Affair. And then she goes into No More Drama. And then it's Kendrick Lamar's turn, Mad City, All Right. And then we finally see Eminem. He comes out and joins Kendrick Lamar on stage for Forgot About Dre, launches into Lose Yourself. Again, place goes bananas. And then a little bit of the instrumental version of I Ain't Mad at You, Dr. Dre playing the piano, a tribute to Tupac. And then everybody comes together on the stage for Still Dre, Still DRE. Yeah. That is a power pack performance, if you ask me, man.
And I love the celebration of West Coast hip hop and hip hop culture. And even I after watching it a couple times, I noticed that the field was covered in, it's an aerial map of LA. Yeah. And you got the lowriders out there on the field. And I mean, did you ever in your life, maybe 20, 30 years ago, when West Coast hip hop and NWA and all that broke and kind of came out, that someday you'd be watching a Super Bowl halftime show, watching a dude crip walking.
Right.
A Super Bowl halftime show and Snoop's out there doing it. And you're just like, yes. Yeah. Like it's a celebration of everything. LA. Again, going back, early 90s when like NWA came out, and it's taken that long, kind of that validation or that acceptance into the mainstream. Like it took that long before they would even be considered for something like a halftime show. Like, okay, they're safe now.
Right. Snoop Dogg had a show with Martha Stewart. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, if that didn't normalize a lot of that culture and make it a little less scary for people, then I don't know what did.
I mean, one other thing I wanted to get back to just about performance is one of the things I loved about Mary J. Blige was after she finished No More Drama, the collapse.
Oh yeah.
She just collapses on her back, you know, and
Just
like
sells it.
That was it. Like I'm like, damn, that's a great way to end a song right
yeah.
there.
I just gave you everything I have and I collapse on this. I mean,
Exactly.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've always loved her, man. She's one of those singers that when she's doing her thing, man, I'm believing it. I'm just buying into every single word. I feel like when she sings, you know, she's not just singing, man. She's living or reliving, you know, or putting herself back in that moment when she wrote that song. It's just, there's some artists who just have that.
And it was interesting too, because, you know, it was clearly a hip hop focused performance, but there was some, you know, there was musicians on stage. There was live instruments. And whether or not all of them were being played live, I don't know.
Sure.
But I think some of them appeared to be, and it looked pretty damn cool when it was happening.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, man, go back and watch the Dre and Friends, the Dre and Friends halftime Super Bowl halftime show.
Even if you're not a fan of hip hop, just go
appreciate
check
it, man.
It's...
And that's what we're trying to do here, man.
Yeah.
That's what we're always trying to do, man. We even admit we're like, well, I'm not that big of a fan either, but this was amazing. You know, we started off the episode that way. Find stuff to appreciate in this stuff, man.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Now, here comes the biggest non-surprise ever in the history of podcast.
The worst kept secret in podcast history. Eric loves this artist.
No one who's ever listened to this podcast will be surprised that our number one Super Bowl halftime show was Prince. You have to go with Prince.
You have to.
Even if you're not like uber fans like us. You have to.
There's a lot of other great performances too, and you know, we could give some honorable mentions in a minute, but you might like another artist better. The Rolling Stones played the Super Bowl halftime show, and it was great by all accounts. But you could like the Rolling Stones better, but you watch the two performances next to each other side by side, and you cannot tell me that the Rolling Stones were better than Prince's. They just weren't. You can like the Stones better. That's, you know, personal preferences. That's your own thing. But you can't tell me from a performance, from an emotional impact, or all of those things from an artistic point of view. Stones came out and did their thing, man. They were the Stones. They were great, but they were the Stones. Dude,
Yeah.
Prince put on just the production, his band, his dancers, his performance, there's guitar solos. We'll talk about that in a minute. I mean, just everything was so epic.
So let's go back. It's 2007, right? It's Super Bowl 41 in Miami. Colts beat the Bears.
Bears.
Pouring rain. I mean, just pouring rain. And then even at the start of the halftime show, like that first camera shot, there's the raindrops on the camera lens. So it just looks amazing before the first chord. Like it just looks great. And then, you know, Prince opens with this brief "We Will Rock You" intro with some pyro and some fireworks, and then he jumps into "Let's Go Crazy."
I had mentioned guitar solos. Good Lord. Prince just puts on a clinic during that song, man.
Oh my God. And the thing is, like, that the audio isn't that good for that.
Yeah, that was the only downside. Totally not Prince's fault, but
yeah, you really couldn't hear the rest of the band, but that made that solo stand out even more. Like, he's just shredding. And you're watching a Super Bowl halftime show, which sometimes are just pop fluff.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
Sometimes they are.
Great time to get a beer, go to the bathroom, or, you know, pay attention,
or
watch the Puppy Bowl, right? Yeah, not when Prince is there, man. Nope.
But he's up there, just an artist, just pouring everything he has into that performance.
100%. Yeah, he's another one. I was talking about Mary J. How, like, I believe every note when she sings. Prince is that too, man. Yeah. Not, you know, when he sings, but also when he plays guitar, man. And I've known a million guitar players over the years, you know, been in bands and stuff, and people, you know, guitar play, oh, you know, Prince is overrated, blah, blah, blah. Dude, it's not even always about, you know, yes, there's faster guitar players or there's cleaner guitar players. It's about the emotion. It's about the way he translates, you know, what he's feeling through that instrument. And in that respect, are there bum notes here and there every once in a while? Sure. Half the time he's making the shit up as he goes, which is amazing. But, you know, he played, you know, it was like a Hendrix where, like, oh my God, yeah, maybe at times it might have been a little sloppy here or there, but the emotion comes through. And a lot of these, like, virtuoso shredder types, dude, it's just speed and you know, there's nothing that you don't feel anything. Right. You know, Stevie Ray Vaughan's another one. Right. That dude, he could play one note and bend it and make it cry. You know, like that's
Right.
what
Yeah,
I
yeah,
look
yeah,
for in a guitar player. And Prince is that and then some.
Cool. I mean, and then from Let's Go Crazy, the Florida A&M marching band comes out.
Yeah.
Prince does a medley of 1999, Baby I'm a Star, and Proud Mary,
Yeah.
which you didn't see coming. Like you're sitting there watching, going, "Wait, what?"
Exactly.
From Proud Mary, then he goes into a little medley of Dylan's All Along the Watchtower and Foo Fighters' Best of You, with more just ridiculous guitar solo work. Again, because halftime shows get everybody pumped up and excited, dance to some fluffy little songs, and he's out here playing Proud Mary, right? An older song, and then a Dylan song, and then he'll finish with Foo Fighters in that medley. So just an interesting choice from interesting guy is basically what I'm getting.
Well, and let's not forget too that one of his heroes, Jimi Hendrix, did a version of All Along the Watchtower too.
Great point, Eric. Eric with the
bringing in the fun facts. It's what I'm here for, everybody.
Yes.
Speaking of fun facts,
hit me.
The Foo Fighters had done a cover of Darling Nikki, and Prince, for people who didn't follow his career or maybe see a lot of interviews with him or know kind of who he was a sarcastic little prick, man. And he would sometimes say things in a, sarcastic way or a playful way, and people took it as him being a dick. And after the Foo Fighters had covered Darling Nikki, an interviewer asked Prince, what did you think of, the Foo Fighters doing your song? And he said something along the lines, it's not a direct quote, but he said something along the lines of like, I don't know, I haven't heard it, but, just do your own songs, man. Why you got to steal my shit? Right. And all these people got up in arms because, of course, the Foo Fighters are huge and all this stuff. And who does Prince think he is and everything? Well, Prince had been doing cover songs live for years or including them in parts of medleys and things, So this Super Bowl halftime show wasn't anything really out of the ordinary. He does that a lot. And so what does he do during the Super Bowl halftime show? He plays a fucking Foo Fighters song, which I just thought was genius, dude. Like that's dope. So anybody that was
dude, that is great.
Oh my God, Prince is an asshole. He doesn't like Foo Fighters, but he's like, everybody relax. Look, I'm going to play a Foo Fighters song. And then he did like in, later on in other interviews, he was like, nah, dude, their version of Darling Nikki killed. Like he thought it was great. But yeah, everybody got so mad at him for, God forbid you say something bad about Dave Grohl, and he really wasn't. And so just to prove everybody wrong, he played a Foo Fighters song, which I just thought was, and that's his way, he's not going to backtrack in an interview. He's just gonna be like, you know what? I'll shut you up here. I'll play a Foo Fighters song. Does that make you feel better?
Yeah.
But yeah, great stuff. That medley was, that was cool.
Yeah, man. And then of course in the pouring rain, he has to finish with Purple Rain. Like there's no other way to finish the set, obviously.
Yeah. That was, oh my God, just talk about a stroke of just amazing luck. Most people would be pissed. I got to go out and perform in the rain. And he's about to end with his biggest song and it's called Purple Rain. And he's out there in the, you couldn't have planned that any better, man. No, that was,
and then of course that's when the like the white sheet comes up and it's the silhouette of him playing guitar and it looks kind of phallic. So people were like, is he playing a
yeah. And this was not far removed from the whole Janet and Justin debacle either. So people were like, was that on purpose? Was that just an accident?
Oh my God, what was that? I think I may have just seen a penis.
And also the stage, let's not forget, the stage was amazing. That was sick.
Yes.
The big giant, the symbol that was his name for many years.
Symbol.
And just lit up in purple. And I mean, that was impressive as well. Kind of like the Rihanna thing where like, dude, that stage was huge. And it was so clean and so perfect. They had to have built that thing and like that had to be like 16 pieces that they wheeled out onto the field, slapped together, bolted it together, lit it up. I mean, and it looked amazing.
And of course the rain, it was wet.
Yes,
like it looked
everything shimmered and
incredible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of which, let's not forget the unsung heroes of that performance. His two dancers running around that stage in heels, absolutely killing it.
Yeah.
Didn't fall, didn't slip. I mean, just absolutely destroyed.
I would have been out there shuffling like when I walk on ice.
Oh my God, 100%. Oh geez. Oh boy.
Oh geez. Oh,
I hope
no.
I don't break a hip.
No.
Yeah. Yep. And Prince is out there in his high heels. His dancers are running around in their high heels, and
Just
so
fantastic.
epic, so epic.
Yeah,
Yep.
dude. We had to go with Prince, number one on
Yeah.
the list. Greatest Super Bowl halftime show ever.
A lot of critics agree. That one was just one for the ages. I wonder if somebody's going to come along and one day do better. I don't know how. It's going to take somebody real special.
Yeah, dude. It's good. Yeah, I don't know how you top that.
There you go, Prince. Once again, you'll hear that name
Yes,
a lot.
sir. Well,
We're gonna do an episode with like the greatest like thrash metal songs of all time, and I'm gonna somehow work Prince into there. It's just,
yeah, somehow that'd be a Prince reference.
or I'll at least mention
It's like
him somehow.
Seinfeld. Like Seinfeld,
Superman?
there's a Superman reference in every episode.
Oh my god, yeah, I will work Prince into anything.
So part of our conversation this week leading up to this recording was bands that we think should have been in Super Bowl halftime
Yeah, or could
shows,
still be.
Or could still be. Somebody missed the
Big
boat.
time.
Like, dude,
Come
AC/DC.
on.
I mean, come on. Maybe not right now. I get it. But 10, 15, 20 years ago, like at some point, AC/DC should have been in a halftime show. Like,
yeah.
you walk out, they walk out in that Thunderstruck intro, and the place would just explode. Like, are you kidding me? How can
That song is built for that kind of audience too. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
that song just builds with such an intensity and just, you know, it's a kind of song. I mean, we just did an episode about, you know, songs that get you pumped up. That's one of those songs, man. And at a sporting
Yes.
event, what? They use it
Oh.
all the time.
Man, right. Anytime you want to get the crowd fired up, that's one of those songs that's a go-to song, and everyone just loses their minds. So AC/DC, absolutely. I mean, it just, I know everyone's from a crossover appeal, this and that, but everybody loves AC/DC.
Yeah, dude. You don't even have to
That
be
is-
like a hard rock or metal fan or anything like that. They cross over, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's AC/DC songs that my wife loves, and she doesn't even really like listen to that kind of music. But
Yeah. So I think that's a missed
I think so.
opportunity right
Absolutely.
there. What else you got,
dude,
Eric? What
all
other
right.
bands?
Just from a sheer production value and a band who's got a lot of iconic songs that fit. Dude, how has Kiss never played a Super Bowl halftime show?
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah, that seems like
maybe
a miss.
not your
Yeah.
cup of tea, but you want to talk about a band that puts on a visual, just amazing performance and has great. Dude, come on, Detroit Rock City. Can you imagine opening a Super Bowl halftime show with that intro? Come on.
Right.
And
Rock and roll all
Yes.
night. Like, come
you know,
on.
of course, that's the closer,
sing
man.
along
You're
with
going to
that.
close with that confetti.
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
come flying out. I mean, it's the dude.
Fucking pyro,
It's
shit blowing up everywhere.
it's
Like,
easy. It's easy. How has Kiss never done that? It's perfect.
maybe Gene wanted
That
too much
could
money.
be.
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
I
possible.
know.
But no, Kiss would have been great.
I think they're
man,
made
and
for
then-
that, or they
yeah.
were made for loving you.
That was fucking great, dude.
That was stupid.
But Metallica.
Come on.
I mean, come on. Even those dudes are 60 years
Yeah.
old right now, and I know it's demos. But I don't care how old they are. Like, Metallica still appeals to a broad range of people.
Yeah.
Like, everybody loves Enter Sandman.
Yes. Come on. Again,
You know
played
what I
at
mean? Like-
every sporting event. Football, baseball,
Every
soccer,
sporting event.
Badminton. They're going to play Enter Sandman.
Yeah. It just seems like another just huge missed
Yeah.
opportunity, like just to have just an authentic hard rock, heavy metal band like Metallica would
Yeah.
kill that.
And again, they're a crossover type of band. They're like people. Some
Yeah.
people don't even think of them as heavy metal because do you like heavy metal? No, I don't. Do you like this Metallica song? Yeah, I really like that song because they're like AC/DC in that respect, where they just kind of they cross boundaries for people. I'm not really a heavy metal person, but man, yeah, I like that Metallica song. And they've had a lot of hits that weren't super heavy. And of course, now.
Right.
After, Stranger Things and the resurgence of, the popularity of Master of Puppets. I mean, now, come on, NFL, come on, Roger Goodell, let's do it. Get Metallica up there, man.
Come on, Roger, come on. Let's put their horns up, bro. Come on, let's go.
I think they're one. Yeah, well, while AC/DC and Kiss, maybe that ship has sailed, Metallica's still doing it, man. Still doing it.
Yeah.
I think they could.
I mean, the Stones, McCartney were probably older than
I would think
Metallica
so,
is
sure.
right now when they played at Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
So yeah, they can still do it, dude.
100%. What do we know? We just make a podcast.
Yeah, I don't know shit. That's our
Yeah.
show. We wanted to do again, just our favorite Super Bowl halftime shows.
Yeah, let us know what you think.
Absolutely, give us some feedback. Again, we're always asking. We want to hear from anybody who's listening to the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Look us up on the socials. We're on Instagram at The Greatest Mixtape Podcast. We're on X at Greatest Mixtape. We have the YouTube channel is just called The Greatest Mixtape Podcast. And you can email us at thegreatestmixtapepodcast@gmail.com.
Word.
And Eric, I've got some shout outs for you.
Nice.
Okay. So we continue to grow the audience here in America.
Love it.
So thank you to all the new listeners that are coming on board and checking us out. Really love you and appreciate you. Picked up, ready for this?
Yeah.
South Africa.
Nice, dude.
South Africa came in and gave us a listen. Guess where else? You're never going to guess this one.
Nope, you're right. I can't.
Guadalupe.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. I'm not very smart. I don't even know exactly where Guadalupe is.
You know what? I don't either. But
you let me down, dude. I was like, here's the volleyball, man. Spike it. And you're like, nope, me neither.
No. I don't know where the hell that is, but you know what?
That was so good.
I love you, Guadalupe. I love you for checking us out.
Wherever you are the shit. Love it. God, we're so dumb.
We're just a couple dummies with
By
microphones,
the way,
man.
We're launching our new podcast, which is a geography-based podcast.
It's called Where the Fuck Is That? But like I was saying, man, we're just a couple of regular ass dudes with microphones here. We don't have a producer. We don't have sponsors.
Barely an 8th grade education.
If you're listening, rate us, review us, subscribe. Just help us out with the algorithms a little bit, and we'd greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely, 100%. Well, on that note, I guess it's time to say goodbye. Till the next time, this is the Greatest Mixtape Podcast. I'm Eric.
And I am Mac.
And we're out of here. Thanks again.
Peace.